Hello guys, welcome today to the stream. So it's Saturday morning here in Melbourne, and I thought that I would run through a, a special workshop, and I want to really pack this one with as much value as possible for everyone. And I haven't planned this one out. I just managed to pick a couple of reference photos. I thought today it's pretty warm actually, and I'll go out later in the afternoon. But yeah, I wanted to go through these 3 steps, essentially 3 steps to paint anything that you want in watercolor. And it's something that really was a big game changer to me when I started painting in watercolors. I didn't really have a process, from painting light to dark. A lot of the times I'd just pick up the brush and paint whatever I felt came to mind first. So it could have been the background, it could have been something in the foreground, and I would end up with a lot of differing results. Some of them would work out, some of the paintings would look nice, but most of them would just be very unpredictable. So if you follow this 3-step process, you will be able to end up with consistent looking paintings, and you'll be able to improve as you go on. So, I think having this sort of formula and knowing what to paint first, what to paint last, will make life a lot easier for you, so you don't have to think. So anyway, there are a few people here in the chats. If you are here, let me know below in the comments. Just let me know where you're from. I'd love to hear what you're painting at the moment, and maybe a bunch of things you'd like me to go through today. I'll do my best. And I'm just having a look to see as well. Let me know also how the audio sounds, the audio and the video, if it's all looking good for you. But it looks pretty decent on my end. Yeah, drop a comment down below in the chat, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. Can see there's a bunch of people on YouTube, and there's about 20 or so viewers here on Facebook. Like I said, I haven't planned this one out at all. Haven't sent out reminders to people, so I wasn't expecting a huge amount of people to show up. But yeah, if you have questions, anything throughout this stream, just type a message and I will get back to you. But what I'm going to do is get cracking on the reference photo, and this photo is actually one that I took in Melbourne probably, I don't know how long ago, probably last year, start of last year. And it's a nice little one that we can do to get a sketch of this scene through. And I'm gonna try to get each of these paintings done in about 30 minutes or so each. Okay, so if you follow this 3-step process, it makes things a lot faster as well. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to go and start putting in the horizon lines. So about here, I'd say about a third of the way through the scene, I'm just going to draw a line running across the scene like that. And you should be able to see this okay on the camera. I'm using hot press paper, and this dries a lot faster, so it allows me to work quicker. And at the same time, has a much more sort of creates vibrant kind of effect, much more than when you're using cold press paper. But the issue with, of course, hot press paper is that you don't get that beautiful blending, that nice blending that you get, that seamless blending that you get with cold press paper. So guys, let me know how things are going in the chats. Might have to refresh the page or something like that. I can see about 25, 26 of you here. Yeah, just let me know if the audio and the video is going okay, if you can hear and you can see me. All right. Just give me one moment. Pause the video here. Okay. So I'm basically just going through the drawing, and this is going to be a sketching workshop, guys. So it's not going to be like a really detailed, a super detailed kind of painting. Okay. And I really love sketching because it just helps to get you into that mood and relieves a lot of pressure as well, so that you're not, you don't have that pressure of coming up with, a much more accomplished painting or whatever that means, So let's continue on with the drawing now. Horizon line is probably one of the most important things. So I put that in about a third of the way through the page from the bottom. And let's go ahead and, let's put in this silhouette of the buildings. Now, this here is in Melbourne, so it's just on Flinders Street. It's the Flinders Street station, essentially, and you've got this kind of cover, whatever you call it, like where people kind of walk just underneath here. Okay, so I'm just really going to get that in one go. And you can see there's also a lot of darkness here, tons of darkness, and these little poles kind of holding it up, as you can see. Okay, pretty simple. You've got the station behind it as well. Kind of just comes up. Where is it? It's like here. Okay, the front of that station. Okay, and always try to reduce down and simplify down everything into smaller shapes. Okay, so I'll just actually make that a little bit higher up like that. There we go. Reduce things down into smaller shapes and simple shapes. So that's just a box. If you look at that, a box on its side. Okay. Just checking what is happening here. I think everything is going okay. I just have a bunch of viewers in here, but for some reason the chats showing up in the same place that they usually do. That's right. Look, I'm just going to continue. On, and hopefully, I just want to make sure that the audio is running okay. But it seems to be, it seems to be doing all good. So I will keep on. Okay, so here we have it. This kind of area where we've got the people underneath, just coming out of the train station. This is a pretty popular area, I suppose, in Melbourne. We've got people just crossing the road here at the traffic lights. Okay, there. What else do we have? We've also got this, the actual top of the station here, and there's bits of detail there as well. There's this kind of archway there. There's windows here. Just simplify these windows down. Up the top, you've got this dome as well over here. Just trying to scribble in some of this detail. Yeah, I'm not wanting to put too much information in here, just enough to have a drawing ready to go. Okay, and you've got this dome, which is like a semicircle, really. And so I'm gonna go ahead and let's just try to get that in. Okay, just that dome shape, and like that. There we go. That's a dome, and on top of that, you've got this kind of what should we call it? Flag up the top there. Okay, at the base as well. Okay, so we've got some details. It's just looking good. Just a real simple sort of scene. I do like the fact that there's this cyclist here in the front, and I'm not the best with drawing cyclists, but let's just go ahead and give it a crack. So we've got this kind of like this person with the arms outstretched here. Okay, and you're just going to get the bike in, get the handlebars like that, and it comes down, and you've got like a wheel like that on the road, another wheel just directly behind there. Simplify this down. I don't want to bother too much with all these little details, just enough to imply what's happening in here. Okay, looks like a person on a bike as well. Ramona's here. Ramona says, just rejoined on Facebook, could not get comments to post on YouTube. Yeah, that's good. Good to see. So that the audio, everything's working all right. We've got Foolish Wine as well here on YouTube saying, glad I caught a live stream. Awesome. Yeah, if you're here watching on YouTube and you're watching on Facebook, leave me a message in the chats. Let me know whereabouts you're from, where you're watching from, what time it is over there. It's a nice kind of, it's going to be afternoon soon here in Melbourne, but it's like a decent day actually, nice and warm. So I'm going to go out later, but it's a little bit too hot at the moment, so I wanted to just chill inside. I stick the air conditioning on and do a bit of painting. So all this stuff here in the background, remember it's just a silhouette. Now I don't want too much detail. Okay, this is all going to disappear off in one color later on. And remember, these are just, if you look at them, they are just rectangles, off in the background. And I'm going to use these in a way to kind of cut around this station here in the front. So don't be intimidated by the fact that there's a lot of buildings and stuff going on, because we're going to be able to simplify a lot of that down. And as you see, I've cut away some of that detail as well. That there are details behind the station, like this, this building here. Whether I actually put that in, I don't know. I'll probably make a very simple silhouette of it. Okay, just look at these as shapes. What's this one? This is it's just a rectangle, right? It's just a rectangle here in its side. And the way I hold the pencil as well, just on the side, makes it a lot easier, so that you're not kind of thinking too much. A lot of people, when they sketch, they hold their pencils a little bit too further down, so around here, and they're sketching, but you don't end up with this loose scene. Okay, and it takes a long time to sketch like that as well. It's very frustrating, and if you make a mistake, it really looks out of place. Okay, little dots here. You've got a tram. Got a tram running just over here. Just the front of it's like a rectangular shape like this. Okay, windscreen. You've got the front of that tram there. I wouldn't try and make it maybe a little bit bigger, because kind of just emphasize it a touch more. You can see it just kind of goes off there, and there's people, you see all these kind of people jumping off the tram or on the tram, waiting to get on at this station. And that's just the stop. I want to imply that stop a little bit. I don't know, a bit of railing, but have people here as well, just kind of crowded up there next to the tram, so that it looks like something. Okay, here's the windscreen as well. There, you've maybe got a couple of lights like this. Okay, it's not a huge detail in this scene, but it does make it more Melbourne, that's for sure. I think there's trams in Adelaide as well, if I remember right. It was a long time since I've been there, but I'm originally from Perth, and we don't have trams over there. Here's a car, the back of the car. Okay, the windscreen, the front of the car there. Look at that, and a wheel and another wheel here. This is actually some kind of ute, like a pretty common sort of ute there. Couple of tires, one tire here, one tire there. Okay, there we have it. So we've got like some kind of car. Okay, I'm also going to have to figure out where we're going to put this light source. When we're going to make light source coming in from left or right. I'll have to figure it out. But that's a car. Do we want to put another one in? Don't know. I'm thinking to myself, it actually looks pretty alright as is. I mean, I could put a person just walking across the road here like that. I think that looks a little bit better. And this is interesting, because I am only deciding to myself, where do I want to put the light? Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I could potentially, because light source. Yeah, we can make the light source come from the left. Yeah, we can make light source come from the left. I think that's going to be better with these shadows. They're going to look more dramatic. Person here in the foreground as well. You could even add in another person coming, another car coming through. But I'm actually liking how this scene looks at the moment. It doesn't look too crowded. And I normally add, I think I normally add too much into these scenes. So, You know, I'm just trying to exercise a bit of self-control here and think I'm just going to chill out a little bit and just go with what I've got. Okay, that, you know, here on the sidewalk, you're going to see there's a lot of people. You know, there's a person here with the handbag. I can draw that person in like that. It's kind of looks like he or she. It's a guy with a laptop bag or something like that. Actually, there, shirt there, and you got a leg there. Yep. Okay, simplify that figure down. I always draw the heads in first and then put the body in afterwards. This just makes it easier so that you don't make the head too large. There's nothing that looks more out of place than a figure with the gigantic head. Okay, obviously people come in different shapes and sizes, but you know, usually children have larger heads in comparison with their bodies. So with adults, you want to make their heads a little bit smaller and the bodies a bit larger. Okay, this person's also carrying a bag here on the side. You know, I'll just detail these figures a little bit more than I do usually, but you know, it's no big deal. So quarter cut pants, very hipster, not really my thing. Here we go. Shoes. What do we got here? We've got another person maybe up in the background, a little bit further up. You know, when you make different figures at different areas in the scene, you know, further up, closer by, that kind of thing, the scene actually, it makes it look a lot more interesting. This is the church here. I actually don't remember can't remember what church this is. I've passed by it like all the time, but I just don't remember what it is. But it is a church. I think it might be, God, I'm not even gonna try. But yeah, this is sort of buildings here in the background. And again, look, how simple am I doing them? Just putting the basic outline of them in there. Okay, then we've got this cathedral. And look, it extends out of the scene. I'm not going to make this too much of a feature in here, yeah? Just make sure, I mean, I'm just going to make sure that it's there, but with not too much hassle. Okay. I think this is pretty good for the drawing. I think we can pretty much get started. We've got Tanya here in the chat. So that Tanya, is this Tanya from a year or so back? I do remember you being in from Facebook as well. Good to see you. You know, this time is a bit of a funny time for people over in the States as well, because it is, I think, pretty late for them. I wonder what time it is in the UK, but usually people just can't make it at this time. I thought I'd run one a bit later today because it's just hot outside. I want to maybe head out a bit later in the afternoon. I think that Church of St. Paul's Cathedral, Foolish One says, yeah, maybe. I can't remember what it is. Yeah. All right. So we've got Ramona says a higher 8 p.m. Okay, it's a pretty good time then. Yeah, good. And for UK, it's 1 a.m. Looks like, yeah. I really got to start sleeping earlier and just getting up earlier so I can run these, you know, probably 9 a.m. or something like that. My sleep schedule's a bit messed up these days. Ramona says, thanks so much for doing this. Yep. You're quite welcome. Sketchbook focusing this year. Yes. You know, having a sketchbook is a huge hack. And, you know, it allows you to remove the pressure of having to basically end up with anything that's more accomplished. And even when you reduce that pressure, you end up with better paintings anyway. So let's go ahead and let's get started on the basic colors. Okay, now let's go. I'm going to try to mute this one down a little bit more, yeah? Oh, Amanda's asking about that light. Yeah, that's a good one, actually. I've forgotten about this light. That's a very good point, Amanda. One thing I've gotten rid of is this, I don't know, this path here with a couple of these bits and pieces. I don't like that. But at the same time, I do want this to look a bit more, yeah, at the same time, I do want this to look a bit, the path separated from the sidewalk. these perspective lines, I've kind of stuffed them up a bit over here. I'll just erase these perspective lines a touch, just so I can get them in more accurately. So yeah, we're going to imagine a point like there. Just draw all these lines going from that point. There we go. This is a bit better. So that way I can just use this as like a side, what you would call it, an area for the connecting between the road and the path. Okay, there we go. Simplify that down. Now let's pick up some colors. I'm going to use yellow, a bit of yellow ochre. Yeah, yellow ochre is just a muted down, dulled down sort of yellow, and I put that on for this as well. This rooftop here. The proportion of paint we're using is about 10% paint and 90% water. So this is the first step in this 3-step process, okay? You want to make sure that you get in all these light colors, and you don't want to mix too much paint in there. You're almost looking at it and you're thinking to yourself, it almost looks too weak, okay? But if you've done that, it means you've done a good job. Because we haven't got any dark colors, any details in here yet, so we want to keep it nice and light. Just yellow ochre. Sometimes I mix in a touch of gouache in there as well to, I don't know, give it more kind of an opaque sort of quality. Okay, over here in the background, this building here is like a grayish color. I do have some grays here in the palette that I've left from previous paintings, so I can just drop that in like that. There, good. Let's have a look. What else do we have going on in here? I do think I'll probably darken down some of those buildings in the background a little bit more in a moment. Why am I doing that? So that I can maybe emphasize the light on these buildings. That's why. So yeah, at the moment, because we're sketching, remember we are just experimenting, and there's no pressure whatsoever to get this right. I think some of the best ideas I've had have just come out of sketches, where you just think to yourself, I'll try that, that might work. I'm going to make this a little more kind of bluish, bluey green color, this top of this dome. Let me touch more blue in there. Just mix that in with the yellow. Okay, here as well, like that. They turn out a little tiny bit greenish, but doesn't matter. A little bit of this blue in here. Okay, it's just ultramarine. Drop that straight into the dome, like that. And what else do we have? All the rest of these buildings, it's just going to be, I'm going to pick out some grey. I've got blue, and I've also got, ultramarine blue and a bit of brown. This is a great color as well to, I sort of just use this as a general shadow color, a darker color. Ultramarine blue and a bit of brown in there. The brown just dulls it down a touch. Cut around that tram as well. We do have some other browns. I've got some brown ochre as well that we can mix in there. If it starts looking too sort of cool in areas, see, I'll just drop in that brown, and immediately it looks a bit more warm. Some more colors here. And, mixing these colors up as well is so important. Super important. Got a bit of this, it's like a cobalt teal color here. This also works quite nicely for these background buildings. Simplify them down like that. Okay, normally I'd actually do the sky first, but in this case, I'm not going to bother. I'll put in a very thin layer for the sky afterwards. Here is the building. Okay, it just makes it a lot quicker if I just don't bother with the sky first, because then it takes a little while to dry. So, but normally I do start with the sky. More of this cobalt teal. Okay, it's if you don't have this color, it doesn't matter. Just use a bit of blue, tiny bit of ultramarine, and mix it in with a touch of green. That can work as well. Okay, I just want the background, some areas of the background to be cooler. Okay, this is probably already dry, this section here on the left. So I'm going to pick up the same mop brush. And guys, I'm using just a little mop brush. And the great thing with these brushes is you've got a larger sort of belly here on the side. Okay, so this holds a lot of paint, but it has a sharp tip. So this allows me to just cut around everything, as you can see here, and get in a bit of shape to stuff. Have a look at the chats here. We've got a few more in the chats. We've got Amanda. Oh, yeah, I've already read your comment, Amanda. That's... I actually forgot to put in that poll. Here it is. This traffic pole. And, you know, I've actually lowered it down a little bit as well. Notice, lowered it down because I don't want it to go too high up. I mean, there's actually quite a few. I mean, you can see here, there's even another pole. We can actually put these in afterwards. Anyway, one of them's fine to get started. Margaret, good to see you, Margaret. You've finally caught me on one unplanned sort of live. Amanda says, interesting pinkish sky in the photo. Yeah. Let's get in a bit of warmth in that sky later, but we'll wait for all these buildings to dry first. Okay. And let's see, what else can we do here? I reckon we can we can darken the buildings a bit in the background, a tiny bit in the background. So again, a bit of this ultramarine blue, a bit of teal, and a bit of brown just mixed in there to get this sort of duller color. I'll probably just go over this one here in the background. It's a touch darker. Okay. Remember, hold your brush the same way that you hold the pencil. So a bit kind of on the edge, on the back end. Okay. And this is going to just make it a lot easier for you to get in these looser brush strokes. And that's a key to loose painting. If you were watching my last workshop, I talk a lot about loose painting, give you a few tips on that. And I always think to myself, well, what's the way that I can paint this building? How can I paint this building in with as few brush strokes as possible? Okay, few brush strokes as possible, and it doesn't take that much, really. It really doesn't take too much. The good thing is that you want to imply everything that's there, but you don't want to you don't want to just treat it like a drawing, like too detailed. All right, so we've got that background in. We've also got these figures and people we can put in. This is where we can put in a bit of colors. I like to just drop in a bit of more vibrant colors here. Okay, so here's a bit of lavender color. I don't know what this is. Another color there. Maybe I'll put in some orange or red into this figure here. Yeah, a little bit of something for that one. Touch of red for their heads or the faces, like that. Just a little bit there. There's a person here. You see a few of these figures just walking around here as well. Okay, just get some of a bit of red in for their faces. Okay, so I'm going to continue on with this tram. Put in, just want to join that up with the background there a little bit like that, and we'll get in some of the side of the tram. Remember, the one thing to keep in mind is that the light source is coming from the left. We decided that before, right? So that means we're going to get shadows running to the right-hand side of everything we see here, yeah, including this tram. So a bit of that darkness in there. And what can help also is that if you pick up a smaller round brush, a little round brush, it really makes things easier. I actually should have done this a bit darker, but it doesn't matter. We'll go through with the second wash to get in some extra details afterwards anyway. The main thing is that I want you to focus on just getting in a light little wash across everything in here. Yeah, even in here, we'll notice that there's some blues, some like not blues, but sort of cooler colors in here. It's actually quite kind of like grayish, but I want to get in some cooler colors in here anyway. Just a bit of purple or something. Join that on like that. Okay, it's actually started to dry off a little. I'm just going to spray the paper down a little bit. Put in a little bit more blue in here into this darker section. We'll go over again afterwards, but yeah, cut around this figure here in the foreground. I do think some blue for the shirt would be nice. Yep, something like that. And you know, I'm saving those real vibrant bits for yeah, saving the vibrant bits essentially for little highlights and things like that, and areas of interest. Okay, I just want to color this person in on the bike, just one color, and later I'll detail it more. The main thing though, I want to get in a little wash on the ground, and it's kind of grayish, isn't it? But I might make it more, maybe drop in a bit of purple in this gray. So how does that look? It looks okay. It looks all right. Maybe a bit of brown in there. How can I just neutralize this a touch? Okay, something like this. So we've got a bit of that light on the buildings as well. So I do think a bit more warmth in the ground would be nicer. Okay, lots of water. This is again like about 90% water. Okay, just bringing that across because we've got this strength of the light on the buildings. I think it would pay off to kind of imitate some of that here in the ground as well. Looking how I just let everything blend together, yeah? That's all. But but what you find is that because the ground is doesn't reflect as much light, you won't get that kind of stark sort of reflection as you get on the buildings up in the background there with the station. Okay, a bit more kind of grey in here as well. We've got Serena watching from Greenmount. Awesome in Australia. Nice to see you again, Serena. How you? Got Cynthia as well. Good to see you, Cynthia. I think you're new. I haven't seen you before in the chat. Yeah, it'd be good to hear where some of you guys are from as well. How you all doing so far? Okay, you should have this sort of general scene. And what we're going to do, I'm going to just drop in a bit of color for the sky. A little bit of color for the sky. Got some red. A bit of red. Mix it with some gouache. But at the same time, I don't want it to be too pinkish. So I have some neutral tint here, which is kind of like a grayish color. So mix that gray in with a bit of pink. I mean, this is your typical Melbourne anyway. Pretty grey sky. Look at that. Just going to drop that color in there. And where it goes to the buildings, just quickly dab onto it and then go off, okay? Like that, so that you don't disturb the buildings. Okay, and this is not the end. I'm going to show you how to put in some nice little clouds as well, but for the time being, I just want to get in some kind of grayish, a warm grey sort of sky, like that. All right. Very light. This is like 5% paint. One thing you really want to remember with the skies is you want to make the skies as light as possible. That's where your light's coming from essentially. And you know, another thing I should do as well is perhaps drop in a bit of grey for like a cloud or something here. Okay, you might not want to do this. It's up to you. Just want to drop in a cloud, make it a little bit of splotchiness there in the sky. Okay, there we go. That looks all right. So I'm going to leave that for now. And the car as well. I'm thinking what to do with this car. I reckon I'll just put a bit of grey down on the right hand side of that card to, again, emphasize the light source from the left. Okay. Got to get in a bit of color underneath that car as well. So good. Let's give this a dry. Alrighty, it's all dried now, and the next step, which we're probably going to spend about 15 minutes on, is putting in the darker colors. Okay, so this is step 2, and we're looking at mid values. So not the darkest values, though it can include some of those as well. Okay, but yeah, kind of the mid to darkest values. I try to do them all in one wash if possible, but sometimes I can't do that. I have to let the darkest values, put the darkest values in the third step. Okay, and the third step is, I'll go through that later. It's really the shortest step of all, but it does make a big difference if you do it correctly. So we've also got, yeah, Amanda's is lots of fun from Victor Harbour, South Australia. Awesome. Yeah, this is, you know, it's great fun for me as well. Just having, you know, just picking a reference photo. I didn't even think too much. I went through a stack of photos on my computer. I just went, that one looks good, that one looks good, and get started. Whatever happens, happens. So let's mix up a bit of, I'm going to mix up some purplish gray kind of color here. All right, so I've got some purple. I have some of this cobalt teal, which I quite like as well. A bit of purple, cobalt teal. Okay, doesn't even need to have these colors. I'm just experimenting because I don't normally use teal in these shadows, but I want to try to play around with this one a bit. Okay, a bit of brown in there as well. Okay, even that out. Okay, so it's probably about a mixture of 50% paint and 50% water. And I'm going to go on the right-hand side of this building. And this is actually the station itself. And I'm emphasizing a bit more of this light. Now, you don't see this in the reference photo. The reference photo does not have this sort of strong light source. I'm changing it around a little bit. May or may not work. I don't know. But we'll give it a go anyway. Yeah. This dome up the top there as well. I reckon I will darken parts of the dome like that. The right hand side of it there, coming down like that. We've got this top part of the dome. Let's just put in that top part of the dome, connect it all on nicely like that. Okay, there. I've actually stuffed that dome a little bit, but it doesn't matter. Oh, can I redeem myself? Okay, no worries. We'll just go with it. Let's have a look. A couple of windows and stuff here. Maybe just put in a window like there. We've got more windows here, and see how I'm going pretty dark with some of these windows here as well. Okay, another window there. And just sort of picking out some smaller details. And with the dome, I just wanted to, yeah, make it a bit darker on the right-hand side, but I think I've gone a bit overboard with this section. Doesn't matter. Okay, so as we get sort of around here, there's actually a bit of brown or something here, just around the edges. You see there's some touch of brown or some color running through the actual station itself. That. There's even a bit of brown here. This is a bit of burnt sienna, by the way. Just a little touch of burnt sienna does the trick. And I'm using this little flat brush to draw in basically these tiny little details, okay, into the side of that building. Good. Down below, this is getting pretty dark, but let's have a look. What else do we want to do? I think the buildings in the background, I'm so tempted to just go in and do stuff, you know, add in a few lines and stuff like that. But we really have to be careful that we're not overdoing it with these buildings as well. So, you know, I might potentially just put in a few little strokes and stuff like that for these buildings in the back. But yeah, you can overdo it if you're not careful. You know, this building in the background could darken that building, see, and it just brings out the dome a little bit more. So there's a bit of experimentation going on here. Good. Let's have a look down here. It gets pretty dark. And I reckon I'll actually maybe put in some kind of an extra bit of darkness here for this building to further bring out the tram and bits and pieces. It's just grey. I'm just using some grey here, yeah? For that building here in the foreground. Oh, mid-ground, sorry. There. Connect this all. I'm trying to just connect this all up as well so we've got the shadow moving across the page. There. Oops, cut around these figures. Again, more darkness around some of these figures. There we have it. Here in the cathedral as well. We'll probably put some little bits of darkness in there. There. Look at that. Just something, it's actually more of a darker brown. I can drop in a bit of brown in here as well. This will be interesting. Okay. Rather than focusing too much on the building, I sort of think to myself, oh, what color is it? How dark or how light is it? Okay. There we go. Got a bit of that going on. So underneath the building here, I'm going to pick up some neutral tint and maybe some purple, a bit of brown again, this same sort of mix that I've been using. You can mix up your three primaries and come up with the same sort of darker value. And underneath here, I'm just dropping in a bit of this dark paint, yeah? And cutting around the car. Look, it doesn't take much at all, just a few little brush strokes. Think to yourself, how can I be more efficient with my brush strokes? Can I paint this area underneath with a few brush strokes? And if I can, then let's go with that. I think that's always going to lead to a fresher looking painting. A lot of beginners use sometimes these tiny little brushes and they end up making all their paintings look very, very squished and kind of one-dimensional. There's the wheels of this car. If I can paint, again, I'm trying to paint this car in this pretty much the same time figure here. Okay. Again, this is where I was talking about these wheels here of the bicycle, person on the bicycle. Simplify that down. The handlebars coming out the side like that. It doesn't take much to imply a bicycle, yeah? Looks like someone doing a food delivery. And the shadow here on the ground, that's going to be important as well. You know, here, just put that shadow running to the right, perhaps like that. There, this car, look, shadow to the right. Legs of figures here, like that. Okay. And this is, I'm not spending as much time as I would usually. Yeah, I'm just trying to simplify this down for you all to show you just how easy it is when you put in that second wash to start seeing what's happening and getting an indication of this street scene. You know, once you start putting the darks in, it's like everything else starts to make sense. Okay, even on this tram, I do think that it needs to be darker on the right hand side. So let's just, you know, put in a quick wash like that for the tram. Okay, there's something up the top there as well, like that. Okay, and on the ground again, these little perspective lines like running down the road like this can help make it look a bit more three-dimensional. I drew them in before with the pencil. Oops, that one's just off, but all good. There's actually some railing here normally, like a what do you call it? Yeah, there's some kind of railing here. Don't know. I can just make it up like that, like a wall there. There's not this reference photo, but I can put it in there, and there's also like a bit more detail, like what you call it, like a lamp. Oh, I forgot to put the shadow for this bike. That just something running to the right. Okay, all the shadows you want to make them go in the same direction, yeah, because you want to match that light source that's from the left hand side. All right, so we are getting to the end of this scene, getting very close to the end of this scene, and as you can see, it's slowly starting to come together. Okay, there's little figures here in the background, and because I'm using such a large brush, I can't get in much detail, and I hate usually switching to smaller brushes, but it does pay off sometimes with with smaller figures like this. Okay, these are just maybe some people waiting at the tram stop. You know, what's this? It's like that's the stop there. Okay. That, you know, you sometimes get these traffic lights as well. We'll do the traffic lights later, I think, and these poles and everything. Once this dries a touch. Okay, well, we're almost done. I'm just thinking to myself, is there anything else I want to potentially put in here? Windscreen, maybe the windscreen for this car. That the back area like that. Side parts there, something like that. Still leaving a bit of light on top of the car as well. I know these figures you can also put in a bit of color. Why not? Yeah, a bit of color for the shirts and stuff like that. Just pick what you want, drop it in there. Okay, this one's just in yellow, perhaps. You know, some of them you can just leave in white as well. It's no big deal. Okay. I make some of them cooler looking, some of them warmer looking. Okay. I do find that the round brushes make it easier to draw legs and things, but because I sometimes want to just make it more efficient, I'll use the same brush, the same kind of flat brush that I use to paint everything else. Okay, good. Just sort of touch and go in areas, yeah. This is the last step we're doing now. The last step, bringing it all together in terms of adding in some final highlights, some final little highlights, some final touches of gouache, some putting in those little darker bits in there. And that's going to just bring it all together. And Amanda's reminding me of the lamp again. Yes, and that's what we're going to do in just a second. The lamp, all these lamps, I reckon if we make them a bit darker, it's going to look better. I think it's going to just make them look like, make the scene look more three-dimensional, yeah? So stick with me. This last step's really important, and I think a lot of people, they finish the painting off at this point. But you see here, just these little tiny bits and pieces. I'm adding in some hair onto these figures, okay? And this, although it doesn't seem like much, when you've got all this loose detail and stuff going on, putting in a bit of hair and a bit of like a bag or something like a person, what's person holding, like maybe, here there was a bag. Yeah, this person had a bag coming up like that. It makes it look more realistic. Yeah. You can even turn some of them into like business people, put like a coat or something onto that one there. Yeah. This person's just walking around. Maybe he's going back to work or something. These little bits of polishing up, trust me, it's so important. It's absolutely crucial. This person here's got a bag as well on the right hand side, but it's like a white colored bag. So I'm going to leave that till later, and we'll actually put in a white colored bag maybe on the right hand side for this person. It's also quite dark in here, so a bit of contrast, light and dark contrast is going to help. Yeah, I am, Amanda. But seriously, if you put in these traffic lights and stuff over the front, it's gonna look better. It's like with a bit of, it's one of my favorite artists, Joseph Zabukic, calls it the jewelry. It's like the bits at the end, but you have to make sure everything else, the first wash, the lighter colors, the darker colors are in first, and then this is like the finishing touches. Another mistake beginners make is that they focus on all these tiny little details first, when you should try to make the whole painting pretty cohesive initially. So let me have a look. What else do we have here? There's a few more chats. Just trying to keep up with the chats. Cynthia says, "Love the colors." Thanks, Cynthia. How are you all doing at the moment? Are you keeping up? Okay. Do you need me to answer any more questions? Let me know. Let me know how you're doing. Okay. Sanjanith from the UAE. Morning, Sanjanith. 5 a.m. Geez, you're pretty keen, aren't you? I couldn't do it. I couldn't get up at 5 a.m. unless I'm traveling to somewhere exciting, maybe. Tanya says, "You're not restarting the Melbourne sketching group." No, I haven't, but I'm looking at organizing something soon. Just got to think about how to market it and get it out there, maybe on Meetup or what have you. But it's pretty good weather. Like an urban sketching meetup would be great. I did talk about this with a few friends, even just getting people along that aren't necessarily painters. They can be people who are, draw in pencil or pen. We can do a little meetup in Melbourne. Okay. And Tanya's saying, "Will be forgiven when it dries. Think you'll brave your dark tones." Yes, you got to be. You have to just go in with your dark values, and the darks bring out the light, as you can see here on the paper. I'm also using, like I said, hot press paper, which it's difficult to work with. You get blotchiness. The paints don't mix together so well. The lines look very harsh. But you get more vibrancy, you get sharpness, and the paper also dries faster, which means I can do these sessions faster as well. Dylan says, "Hi, how you doing, Dylan? Drawings are so impressive. If there's one thing in this whole world I can't do, it's painting." You should see my paintings from, back in 2014, Dylan. Like, they sucked. They were really terrible. And yeah, it's a process. It's like learning anything. Some people are going to peak higher than others. There's some people that just get it, and some people learn faster, and people are born with some talent even. Some people have just bad aptitude, but I've never seen someone that just hasn't been able to improve their drawings and paintings with consistent practice. So yeah, keep it up. Keep going, Dylan. And it's 2 a.m. Looks like you've got the same sort of sleep schedule as me. I really need to sleep earlier these days and just wake up earlier. It's getting to me. 57 minutes we're into this stream. So everyone, I'm going to dry this off and then we'll put in some... Actually, I don't know if we need to dry this off. I think it's pretty much dried already. I've been yapping too much. Okay, so again, with these darker values, let's just, again, finish this off. I'm going to pop in a few more darks in areas to emphasize shadows, people's hair. What else do we have here? You know, this could be like could be a bit of shadow underneath there. Okay, this pole. All right, geez. Now, here's the thing. We want to get it in, but I don't want it to just come forwards and just look too stark. So I'm going to pick up really dark paint, drying off the brush, and you dry off the brush, so you get these broken lines. See? See how it's not completely, like, completely, whatchamacallit, dark. You've got a bit of that paper showing through, and this makes these kind of poles look, it kind of pushes them back a little bit more so that they're not too obvious. Okay, and one thing you do as well is I sort of skip the paper, so at some points just I'll show you what I mean. I'm trying to explain this both at the same time. So if I go here, I lift the brush off the paper and then just go down like that. So see, I've got a broken edge, broken line there. Okay, then I'm gonna go up. There's another one. This, I've gone too far as well. See this? I reckon that should be a little bit further away from this, the top of this dome. Okay. That. Drop in some more darks. You know, I've lost a bit of detail here, and whatchamacallit. See, this is where you want to, if you want to hold the brush further down and do this sort of thing, you can get little details yourself into the building. This is the time to do it. You don't want to do this at the start of the scene, which is what a lot of beginners do, and they end up, yeah, again, just making it quite overworked, looking too overworked in the beginning. So, yeah, bit of darkness there. This can be kind of like windows or whatever on the side. Like that. Okay. Is it even little? See these little details on the sides of the buildings. You don't have to do this. I'm just playing around with this. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to work out or not, or it's going to look too overworked. But when you're sketching, it doesn't matter. You're just experimenting, and you want to do things at times that you don't normally do. I know it sounds mad, but because there's no pressure, sometimes you'll find that there's a more efficient way of doing things, or just a way that looks better, maybe more tailored towards your style or something like that, and you can figure that out just through this sketching. You know, notice on the top of these rooftops, see there's this, I thought maybe a bit of line work coming like that will make it look better. I don't know. Normally I wouldn't do that. I'll just leave it the same color. You know, maybe I stuff it, but just something I want to do. I darken here. Don't know. Just thought I'd darken around there. The brush is too small. So this is what happens. Again, it's a typical thing that beginners do. You sort of use a brush that's too small to get in something that's larger, like that, and it looks messy. Something like this. I don't know. I thought I'd put that in there just to bring out the light on this roof there. Okay, what else do we have? I did say we're going to get in maybe the traffic lights, simplify this down. So there, look, that's could be a light. I think the car's waiting here, so it's probably traffic lights here. You know, there's a traffic light here as well. Look, it's just one brush stroke. I'm not even bothering with the detail. When you use a flat brush as well, because a flat brush is kind of squarish shaped, it already looks like like the top of a traffic light. Yeah, so this is kind of coming across. This is some other like that. Yeah. Okay. simplify that down. Well, a bit more shadow maybe on this figure. Don't know. Play around with that a bit. Okay. What else do we have? I think we're almost done, really, guys. You know, there's, like I said, these little bits of detail here around. I reckon I'll put in a bit of gouache and call it finished. Hey Tanya, yeah, the sketching meetup. That's the one that I was talking about. Just something like an urban sketching meetup. I haven't really got around to doing it. I've been quite busy, a few things going on in life, so I will promise I will look at doing one, organizing one this year in summer. So maybe in the next few months, give it a go. The challenge is just getting it out to people. You know, it's over here in Melbourne, I'll probably have to maybe advertise for it, put a bit of cash to advertising it. Maybe just putting it in the group, because it would be good to get at least 15 people showing up. Serena's asking, what's the difference between hot and cold press paper? So hot press paper is smooth and you get sharper sort of brush strokes appearing on the paper. It's the paint also dries a lot more vibrant. Hot press paper is very hard to work on. I'm working on hot press paper at the moment. It also dries a lot faster. So when I'm doing these sort of demonstrations, it's actually quite I find it easier to work with because it just dries faster. Okay, but with cold press, I really recommend, if you're a beginner, to start with cold press. Don't start with hot press, because hot press is very difficult to work on. It's frustrating. Okay, so a bit of white gouache, tiny bit of this white gouache I picked up with my flat brush. Okay, and I'm putting a bit of that onto the left side of the figures, wherever you think the light source is coming from. Okay, left side of the scene. You know, you can even put it on top of these, like, you know, bits and pieces here. Oh, you know, one thing I forgot to do was put in there was like did say that there was some type of lamp here. I actually don't have a reference for this. I don't know what it looks like at all. It's, you know, sometimes they sort of come out like that. Simplified lamp like that. It doesn't look so good, but it doesn't matter. Bit of white gouache on the head and on the shoulders. You know, like that. Brings out that kind of magical light and quality of light. Sometimes you also lose light by going a bit too heavy in your previous wash, so you can bring it back. You can actually bring back that light by doing this here, okay? But you have to be sparing with it, and not you just have to be very sparing with it. Okay. Here we go, this lamp here as well. I thought I'd put in a bit there, you know, on top of this car. This is a good one. Like that. See, a little bit of white gouache on top of that car. Suddenly it does pop out a bit more. It looks better. I think it looks better anyway. Top of this figure, on the shoulders of that figure, there's figures here in the dark as well, and this will make them look more like people walking around. You know, there's even people here. I don't know, just, and the bag, yeah, that's the thing. This person's holding like some sort of bag here. Let's just indicate that like that. Okay. I think that's it. I'm happy with how that looks for a little sketch. Okay, and like I said, it's 3 steps, guys. You're painting the light colors, painting all the dark colors, and then at the end you add in these little tiny finishing touches And in half an hour, you can quite easily come up with something like this. But, you know, obviously there's a bit of assumed knowledge with the drawing and the techniques. But if you do these sketches, you know, a few times a week, preferably once a day, a little sketch like this, I'm sure you can find 15, 30 minutes out of your day to do a sketch. You'd be surprised at how quickly you can learn how to do this. Okay? You think, I think I might have time to crack on with a second one. Yeah, let me know how you're all going in the chat. So do see there's maybe about 5 or 6 people on YouTube, and we've got about 16, 17 or so on Facebook. Okay, let me know how you're going, everyone. Some questions as well. Amanda's asking, do you put a pop of red or orange gouache on the lights? Yeah, you can do that. I've forgotten that. But yeah, you can put that red light on there, there as well. Or you know, you might not even need to use gouache. You can just pick up that red paint directly. Do I have some? See if I can just really pick some up and just drop that red paint in there, like that maybe. Oh, there we go. Something like that. Yeah. Okay. Cynthia says, usually use cold press. Yeah, cold press is, I would say, what I recommend to 99% of people. Darren just says, watching as I could, it may inspire me to do cityscapes. Living in rural Texas, I usually paint the scenery around me, but I lived in Washington, D.C. for a number of years, traveled a lot, so I've got lots of images to pull from. Your paintings always seem so lively. Yeah, and you know, the secret to that is I'm trying to paint things with as few brushstrokes as possible. So I'm using less brushstrokes to paint that tram, for example, and it doesn't look as detailed as if I really sat down and, you know, painted every little window and everything like that. One, that's going to take long, and two, you're not going to have this loose kind of feeling. I mean, if you bring it up close to the camera, it doesn't really look like much. But let me just show you. It doesn't really look like much, but then when you zoom out, suddenly, not bad, yeah? Kind of looks like something. So I found that fascinating when I started learning watercolors, just to be able to, how quickly you can end up with a finished painting with you using acrylics or if you're using oils. As some of you would know, you're there for days. I don't have the patience for that. Okay, so I'll bring up the other scene. Ramona's asking, do you ever sell your class sketches? Yeah, I do, but I don't really try to. If people message me and they ask about it, yeah, we can sort something out. But normally I don't usually. Don't often sell them or try to. I like to keep a lot of them actually. But yeah, you can message me if you're interested in getting one. So let's bring up a second reference. Now this kind of one I just picked out randomly from my computer. I don't even know where this is. So if someone can tell me where this is, I'll be very grateful to know. Okay, where is this? I've just made the scene really big so you might be able to tell. Does anyone know where this is? Is this somewhere in Italy, or looks like very Mediterranean to me? But yeah, we're going to try to attempt this. Maybe a bit ambitious, but we're going to do a sketch in hopefully half an hour, or a little bit over half an hour. What time is it now? It is actually pretty 1 hour or something like that, 1 hour 11. So yeah, I don't want to spend too much time doing this. Just want to show you the process. Again, the same process. Lost my pencil. Keep losing my pencil. Happens every time. And I don't know where it's gone. I'll have a spare here on the side. Anyway, zoom out a little. I think this is going to be better viewing. Okay. Yeah, let me know if you know where this is. I've not a clue, but this is a pretty fun scene to do. And one thing I want to just change about it is that the horizon line, I think, is just too high up. Run out of lead. Where's the pencil? Um, yeah, just bear with me, guys. I'm gonna. Oh, it's here. Just gonna have to go find another one. All right, so I'm gonna lower that horizon line down a touch. Okay, and the reason why is that I want to get in more of that sky. Okay, so normally the horizon line, if you look at that scene, it's about a quarter of the way up, quarter of the way from the top of the page. I'm just lowering that horizon line down a touch. All right, so let's just draw in that. Once you get that in, it's all going to be good. Now, there's a whole bunch of buildings in here, and I'm going to just quickly put in an indication of all this stuff in the background, okay? Kind of freestyling it in a way. But then I'm going to go pick out maybe a few little buildings here and there that I can draw in, okay? So emphasize a bit more, because this is like a headache when you're looking at this, especially if you're a newbie. You're looking at this, and this is, if you're not a bit stressed out looking at it, you're doing well, because there's so much going on here. But remember, it's just, think about it as one big silhouette, one big shape or silhouette here in the back. And I'm going to pick out some details. Like you see here, there's some umbrellas here, okay? We're just practicing drawing in these shapes. And we're going to practice painting in these shapes as well. Here in the center to the left-hand side, there's like a kind of dome. Can you see that? Don't know what this is. This is another cathedral or something. I don't know where this is, but it's a beautiful location. I'd love to go here sometime. You know, that's a little dome there. Look at that. I'm figuring this out along the way, yeah? Here's another thingo, what do you call it? Triangle on top, like that. Okay, that's another one. Here's a third one here. Okay, it's just a box. It's just, if you look at it, it's like a cube. And that's how you simplify things down. You rather than looking at it as a building, because if you look at it as a building, you're going to stress yourself out, and it's just going to look like mega complicated. Okay, I'm just doing a quick little indication of it like that. There's actually something there. There's some houses or something below. You know, they're just squares and, you know, bits and pieces, buildings below, okay? Simplifying it down. I'm not picking out a few little squares and shapes and things like that. There's even some trees. See, there's like, draw some circles here for these trees or whatever. Okay, there. More of these buildings as well. They're different colors. I really like some of these buildings. There's lots of different colors in here. Thanks for the super chat, Dylan. Amanda says, love the boats. Yep. This is going to be a fun one to do. Okay. So those are the buildings. Like, I really don't think it's worth going into any more detail, especially because I want to keep this quick little as a sketch here. Now, the boats, we need to put in a bit more detail with them. Now, let's start with this one first. Okay, there. The bottom of the boat. We'll work on the bottom of the boat like that. And then we're going to put in the top part of the boat like this. And again, they're just composed of shapes. This top part of the boat is kind of like a rectangular shape. And the bottom of the boat is, I don't know what shape this is. Almost like a rectangle, but not, I suppose. Okay, that's it. Bit of darkness at the base. And you've got 3 windows. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3 windows like that. That's all it really takes to indicate that boat there. You've got these like little bollards or something on the side hanging off the boat. There's like, it's anchored here as well. I don't know if you want to even put that in. There's this boat here, kind of in the center, right? The smack bang in the center of the scene. I might move it a bit off to the left. Okay. This is a tricky one to draw, but it kind of comes down like that, there, there. That. Oh, this is quite tricky to draw, actually. There's a lot of stuff going on in here. It's holding I don't know, like a cube shape in there in the middle. I don't know what that is, but it's holding something in the center. I'll have to tidy this boat up a bit. It looks a bit not so much like a boat at the moment. Okay, that's a bit better. Yeah, kind of looks like a boat, doesn't it? Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know what's in here. It's like it's a is it a fishing boat or something? Okay, it's an interesting looking one anyway. Yeah, that's a boat. They're all kind of facing in different directions. There's one here just behind this other one to the left, and I can just put this one in again like that, that, there. Top part of the boat like this. I'm always looking at ways to simplify down these shapes. You can put in a few as well out the back, just smaller ones on the side. You know, you got ones just kind of facing us this way as well. Like that. More of them just facing this direction like this here, this boat here. This is kind of covered by another one that's in front, like there. That top section of the boat like this, again, like a square shape on top. I'm going to imitate that one, just copy that same shape over like that. Another boat here on the side here. Okay, you can spend a lot more time on this, guys. I'm just wanting to do this as quick as possible to show you that it is a thing to be. And don't think as well that just because you haven't got in this the boat in the sketch that you can't add it in later. Like, you can add in a few more afterwards. It just makes it easier, especially if you're looking at more complicated, larger shapes here in the foreground. I'd suggest getting in these larger boats first. Dylan says it's from Malta. Awesome. Must have done a bit of a search on that at some stage. I'll download all these reference photos and then I don't even know where they're from. Simone's asking, what pencil do you use? So this is just 0.7 millimeter mechanical pencil. I actually have a 1.3 millimeter mechanical pencil. This one is great. I just run out of leads a few months ago, and so I need to get some new ones. I use a thicker sort of lead in here, again, for the same reason. If, you know, when I'm painting in a loose style, you know, a smaller lead pencil I think can get in the way. So just use a larger one, and it forces me to simplify the shapes down, that kind of thing. Okay. Okay, I really think that should be good enough, yeah, for this scene especially. All right, so let's get cracking with the colors. Using a small mop brush, I'm going to, again, just go through and get a bit of that warmth on the buildings. So yellow ochre, I'm going to drop that in. It's just a bit of yellow ochre. Okay, on top of this dome, and on top of this one as well, top of this one. It's not even super accurate. I've accidentally gone into the sky, but no worries. Okay, and you notice this. Let's look at the colors and let's look at the values. Okay, the colors are basically warm colors. We've got yellow. We've even got some white. So I've got some gouache. I'll just mix a bit of white into the yellow to get this creamy sort of color in here, to change it around a bit. Okay, there's even some grays and stuff here in the front. Okay, but you've also got these umbrellas, you see, just in the foreground, and I want to cut around them if possible, because if I don't have to go back in with gouache, that's going to be best. Okay, yellow, I've got some of this other color here, which is like golden quinacridone gold. Drop that in as well, bit of quinacridone gold. Vary these warm colors, but I do want to keep it pretty warm out the back. And the cool thing is that you've also got these other buildings that are different colors. You've got orange buildings. You've got, I think there's like a bluish teal colored building somewhere in here as well. Okay, but just a very light coolness in there like that. Most of it I just want to put in as warmer colors. Okay, and more of this warmth, just drop that in straight away. Just more of that warmth. See how I'm using the side of the brush, and this allows me to cover a larger area. Okay, not only you can cut around and leave some whites in there as well. Okay, you leave some lighter buildings like that. No worries. And what else do we have in there? Well, we have got like darks and stuff there as well, but I reckon I'll go in and put the darks in a second wash so I can get in some sharper looking shadows that would look a little bit nicer. Now what I want to do is perhaps bring all this down and join it with some of the water. Okay, now I'm going to pick up, I have some cobalt teal color. I really like this color. I'm going to mix some ultramarine in it. Cobalt teal. Okay, or you can just use this cerulean, like a light bluish color. Or you can, if you've got a ultramarine blue, dilute down the ultramarine blue. And let's just go in like this. Okay, cutting around the whites and the boats. Yeah, you really got to cut around the boats. Yeah, leave them white. And I'm bringing this down. Bringing this down while cutting around everything, and you're using really just like the lightest wash. It's 10-15% paint max. Okay, going down, and I like to leave the back lighter as well. Light source is coming from the left, I believe. Yeah, left. Yeah, kind of up left area. Cut around here, and as we move down the page, watch what I'm going to do. More darkness, so I'm adding in some more ultramarine blue and more of this neutral tint. Okay, to get the nice kind of gradation as we move down the page. This is difficult to do when you are using hot press paper. It's very difficult to do. Okay, so you get this blotchiness. Just get stuff it's not as smooth, and it's not as easy to do as if you use textured or cold press paper. As you become more experienced, and for me, I just got a bit bored of using cold press paper. I thought I'm going to challenge myself and just use hot press. And the paper is still drying, yeah. So when it's still drying, it's still wet. You can actually drop in a bit of paint, a bit of blue paint, see, like this. And what I'm doing is I'm picking up a higher concentration of paint. So when I drop it in, it's not going to create a big bloom. It's just a few little strokes here or there to indicate these waves, these little ripples on the surface of the water, especially out the back. It's already started to dry, unfortunately, out the back. I should have done it a bit earlier before. It doesn't matter. But I will actually get in some more reflections afterwards in the darker and the sharper values later. But this is just to get in these softer kind of waves like that. All right, all in one go. And the boats as well. Why not? Let's just put in some color into the boats. This one's blue there. On the right hand side, it's pretty much the same thing. I'm just color this whole thing in blue, and I'll actually darken it afterwards. Blue. It's kind of vibrant blue, isn't it? Can I pick up a bit of this ultramarine and dilute that down? Some of these, yeah, it's very sort of like an electric blue. Some of them, like that. That's better. More vibrant looking. And that will draw a bit more attention. I actually should have done that for this one. Okay, maybe I can redeem myself and just drop in a bit more like that. See how light it is as well? Don't worry about that. You know, we haven't got the darks in, and as you saw in the last demonstration, what a difference when you put in all the dark colors afterwards, yeah? So that's all going to dry hopefully pretty quickly because it's hot press paper, I keep saying. And while that is happening, I'm going to do the sky. And I'm actually thinking I might change the sky a little bit as well. I'm going to make it darker. Still blue though. Amanda says Malta as well. Question: I have really good brushes and paints not used for years. Not used for years. Pre-prep. Any pre-prep for those brushes, especially the squirrel? Pre-prep. I reckon just rinse them in a bit of soapy water. Check for mold. And just smell them, and you can tell when, because it's just got that moldy sort of smell. If they're moldy, I reckon just chuck them out. Or unless you know how to get rid of mold, I'm not sure personally, but it does damage. I think mold does damage the brushes, and the bristles will fall out. It might cause you more trouble than good. But usually, yeah, a bit of soapy water will do the trick, just to get it all running again. There might still be glue on it as well. Okay, how we all doing, everybody? How we all doing? And guys, if you are enjoying this stream, do me a big favor and like the video and share it with a friend. It really helps me out a lot, to just get my videos out to more people, my tutorials out to more people. It doesn't cost you a cent as well. So really appreciate that if you ever get the chance, even if you're part of a watercolor group or something like that, just share it around on there. So let's go ahead, and the sky, I'm going to pick out, geez, what am I going to do? I reckon I'm going to go cerulean blue. Cerulean blue, and I've just mixed up quite a dark mixture of it, and I'm going to make it darker around these kind of, this area here. Why am I doing that? Well, I just want this to stick out more from the sky. Okay, I'm just using a little mop brush, cutting around, holding that mop brush at the end as well, so that you still preserve that looseness. Okay. And the rest of it, I reckon I'll just lighten it up a touch, just drop in a bit of, where have we got it here? Just a bit more water. Okay, let's bring that across like that. Here, maybe some clouds would be good as well. I'm thinking some lighter clouds. But the thing with cerulean blue is that even if you mix lots of water into it, I find that you don't really get much contrast anyway. It's just, it's a very light color. Some colors you have a large tonal variation, things like black, browns, dark blues, but with blues like a cerulean blue, or if you have yellows like a Hansa yellow, you'll find that you don't get much range of values. So, but I just wanted to make that area a little bit darker in there. Maybe put in what have we got here? Maybe a touch of this, a cloud or something like that. Drop in a cloud like that. It's just a bit of purple with brown mixed into it. Here, maybe let's just drop in something like that. Oops, make it look a bit more natural. And the paper is still wet, so this will kind of spread around and do its thing, hopefully, and look more natural later on. Good. All right, so I'm going to pick up a flat brush now. Where is it? A flat brush. And what this is going to do, using a flat brush, I'm going to go in and put in the dark areas all at once. The boats, the buildings, everything. Okay, so this is basically our first step that we're finished with. Okay. Oh, fantastic. Thanks, Amanda. Niece and family in Slovenia. Would you not do a wet on wet for sky or water? Would you not do a wet on sky or water? Yeah, so like you can wet the page before. So you can wet this whole area before and then pop in the paint. That works too, Simone. So yeah, if you want to do that, it does take a little bit longer to dry, but it gives you more time. Okay, as you get a bit more experienced, I find that I don't bother wetting the whole area, but also what it does when you pre-wet the area before, it looks a little bit more consistent after once it's dried. Okay, because if you're sort of going in with the brush, wetting the top bit, by the time you get to the bottom, the top bit's already started to dry. So if you spray the whole thing down, it does become more uniformly wet. Okay, guys, I really think I might dry. Should I dry off part of that or not? You know what? I'm not going to bother. I want to just see what happens if I go in and start putting in the shadows. And the risk of that is obviously it's going to start blending into the sky and all that kind of jazz. But I think it might look a bit more loose. I don't know. I just want to try it and see what happens. Now, I'm going to pick up a bit of brown, a bit of purple, and a bit of this cobalt color. Okay, just to mix myself up a nice kind of neutral gray color, perhaps. Okay, something like this. That looks all right. Okay, so here, oh, one thing we got to do as well. These trees, these little trees. I'm going to use another brush, just another general flat brush, and I'm picking up a bit of darker green because we have some trees in here, yeah? Some little, and there's even lighter trees. I'm mixing up a bit of quinacridone yellow, quinacridone gold with a bit of the green. Maybe the Hansa yellow as well, okay? And this is just going to get me a bit of these greens in here because I know there's trees, yeah? We know there's trees in here, so we gotta, well, I want to imply some of them anyway in parts, areas like that, Some of them are a little bit taller, different shapes as well, so you've got to vary the shape of them a touch like that. You do get a bit of darker green running on the right hand side, so we can drop in a bit of that green, darker green like this, you know, something like this. Okay, simplify that down, and I'm going to go in again with that shadow color, that grayish color that I had before. Let's just give this a go there. Going around, and remember there's like these umbrellas in here as well. I've forgotten about these, geez. But there are these little umbrellas in here that I want to leave. Oh, this building here. Just color in maybe the right hand side like that. There. Yep. We can always get some of these whites back in afterwards as well. So don't worry if you've gone overboard. Okay, now the right hand side of this building, I'm going to put some of this grey in there. There, the top of this dome, bit of that there. See, it's spreading. I was kind of a bit worried of that, but doesn't matter. Let's just go in anyway. There, you know, here the right hand side of this dome. See, there's actually a bit of darkness on the right hand side, so I'm gonna emphasize that darkness. Put that shadow in there like that. Underneath, you've got again a bit of a light. And you really want to be careful with this. Preserve the light. Some of this beautiful golden color behind there. This was my biggest challenge when I started painting. I would just paint everything in the same color and the same value, and it would just end up looking awful. Like there was no contrast, there's no depth. Okay. And don't be afraid to mix in some other colors, like a bit of brown or something in here as well. I don't know, just change it around a bit. I do realize I've gotten rid of a lot of those tree umbrellas. Doesn't matter. Yeah, this everything on the right hand side is actually really light. So I'll dull this down a bit, but I'm just tempted to put in maybe a bit of grey or something on some of these buildings, but leave most of it like with light on it actually. But you do find areas of darkness like here, and even behind the boats, you find that just darkening some sections make it look a bit more interesting. But I like these towers. These three towers seem to look okay. Just soften off this shadow here as well, so it's not too sharp like that. Okay. All right. So let's go in down further. Some neutral tint, and I'm gonna put in these windows. They're just rectangles. Yeah, rectangle. Sorry, squares like that for the windows. There's another boat here. You know, see how there's like a little boat there and a couple of windows perhaps like that. What else do we have? Like even just behind here, there's lots of darks, and I can just darken underneath some of these umbrella areas as well. This is going to bring out the boats in the front more. Okay, just add a bit of this really dark color. It is almost 100% paint. A little bit of water to activate it. And I really want this to mix into that wash above as well. Some of the trees and that, if possible, so that it doesn't look too out of place. Yeah, I'm going to have to go in and get in some gouache afterwards as well, with on top of everything. But this is going to be good. Just a bit of these darker sections below. You know, at the bottom of these shops, you've got sometimes they've got these shades and things, and so that makes sense. It just looks like there's something there. And you know, in the buildings as well, you're going to see there are some details in the buildings. Yeah, the values of all these buildings are pretty much very light. I don't need to do much there. I'm actually trying to just wet this down, but I've got so much paint on my brush, it's just getting out of hand. Okay, bit of this grey color as well, brown and a bit of teal. Brown, a bit of teal, and a bit of purple maybe. And I'm going to go into the bottom of some of these boats and see what we can do. Okay, looks like it is your bedtime, Dylan. You've done well to last this long. I'll see you next time. Tanya's asking, what angle do you have your surface on? So I just got, this is on a completely flat surface, Tanya. Thank you, Simone, for the stars, and Kate. No worries, Kate. Look, we're nearly through the second scene, but you'll be able to watch this one on replay afterwards. How's everyone going? Are you still following along? We've got about 7 people live on YouTube. We've got another 24 people on Facebook. Yeah, let me know how you're going, everybody. And this is the boat here below, and I'm gonna just put in like the base of the boat like this. Yeah, it's like I said, it's like this really dark blue teal, dark blue / teal color. I want it to be, it needs to be darker. It's not dark enough. Like this, some more neutral tint in there, perhaps like that. Okay, that's better, because this is gonna anchor it to the ground, and a bit of darkness at the base of the boat like this. Okay, so it looks kind of, yeah, anchored, I suppose. The railing and things here as well. Bit of this railing. You know, I'm using the brush to draw. That's something as well that one of the benefits of learning to draw and focusing on your drawing as well means that your paintings will automatically improve, because painting is basically an extension of drawing. Okay, here's this boat here in the background. I don't know how to really imply this with much detail, but something like that there. You know, it looks like that's a boat there in the water. I'll have to emphasize the whites on it afterwards. This one here, we've got some darker blues on the right hand side like this. there, running to the right like that. And you've really got some dark colors here. It's there's so much going on, yeah. But simplify it down like that. Simplify it down, and think to yourself, how can I just go in, put that detail in with one brush stroke, and then continue on. That's all you want to do. There's a bit of yellow on this as well. Look, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. It's certainly all kinds of stuff you can do here, but I'm trying to get this done pretty quick. Okay. More blue up here. This box, whatever it is. In there. In there. It's kind of like reflecting a bit of light. Let's make that sharper like this. That's better. There. Top of that, the boat. A bit more blue there. Essentially what I'm doing when I'm putting in these darks is I'm in my mind, I'm trying to figure out how dark and how dark do I actually have to make these, yeah? The bottom of the boat, some extra darkness really helps as well, just to bring out the, kind of pin it to the ground, the water. Oops, too dark there in the back, way too dark, doesn't matter. And again, that's why I was saying these boats, there's some smaller ones perhaps in there that you want to indicate up in the back. You can just do that like this, just kind of wing it and make it up as you go. Look like there are boats, but there's not. This boat here, again, it's all pretty light, lots of lights in here. What time is it? Been streaming for quite some time, hopefully not over 2 hours, getting close to 2 hours though. All right, so I'm going to spend another 5-10 minutes on this one. If you have any questions, drop them in the chats so I can get to the final questions before I end the stream. Okay, but look, all I'm trying to do is put in that darkness running on the right hand side of the boat. So as you can see, there's all this dark color there, and there's even shadows and things, as you can see. How can I just simplify this down? I'm always asking myself that. How can I simplify that down, Darren? How can I do it? How can I make it easier to paint? Okay, these 3 windows here, on the front of the boat. This one here, there's not really anything there, but I'm just going to copy that one behind like that. Simplify that down. Maybe some little shadows here would be good on some of these buildings as well. I just thought to myself, it's looking a little bit flat in areas. That's better. Okay, now here's a little thing I want to do. Let's put in some reflections in the water. Bit of teal again and a bit of ultramarine blue. And I'm going to just go straight in to the water. And actually there's a bit of light reflected off this boat like that, like this. Can you see just in the water, it's like some lighter blue. So I'll leave a bit of that lighter wash in the water. But I'm going to go in with the rest of this paint and try to get in a nice little, whatchamacallit, nice little reflection, sharp reflection here in the water. Sometimes I really think using a round brush works better for this type of stuff here. They're much better. Much better. I'm too used to using these flat brushes these days. I just went through a stage where I was obsessed with using them and now I can't get away from them. I don't know, that's just a little bit of reflection from the boat, I guess. It joins onto the boat actually underneath like that. Here we can get in a bit as well. But some of these boats have these white whatchamacallit, like masks and stuff on them. I might actually get it in for that one and one in the background, even though it's not there, because there's something that's required that I think would look better, or just break up that background a touch. So, you know, these reflections here in the water, still these same reflections here for these other boats. Simplify that down like that. Look, just how can I do this in a few brush strokes? Because if we've made everything else loose and suddenly I've gone in and start putting in some really detailed things in here, it's going to look out of place. So notice as well that the boats out the background, there's not many reflections. There's no reflections at all really in the boats in the background. It's only the ones in the foreground that you can see these reflections come out more. Okay, let's dry this off and we'll get in some finishing touches and call it a day. Okay, there we have it. It's all dried off now, and I want to put in some final finishing touches over everything and bring it all together. This boat has lost a touch of its like form, and because it's in the foreground, I'm just gonna retouch areas here and there like that. Just retouch it a little bit, and yeah, just give it a bit more. Give it a bit more form. Okay, something like that. Okay, just picking up some areas that you might want to retouch. Yeah, basically any of the dark areas like that. On the buildings, you know, you notice there's actually some little whatchamacallit, windows and things here. You know, let's try to get some in like that. Some windows there, over there. Here, window there, window there. You know, there's some little details as well, like for the architectural details of the building that you can get in like this. Whoops. See, that's too much. So you got to really, you got to really be sparing with this. I'm putting my finger in there and sort of moving it around because I noticed that color was too dark, and I had a chance just to redeem myself to change that color out a bit like that. Okay, so it's just touch and go in some areas to find windows and things. Look at this. There's a window on this building, you know, that kind of thing. Tiny little details. I'm going to just actually, yeah, I'll just pick up the paint, but I'm also kind of touch and go in areas, so I'm not overdoing it. It's so easy to just go overboard with this sort of stuff. But all I want to show in the background is that there are some windows and that kind of thing back there. That's all I want to do. Nothing too detailed. That's the look at that. You see, it's starting to come out. Yeah, they look like buildings. Yeah, they're probably not the most like detailed buildings, but they do look like buildings. And you know, also you got some trees and stuff. See around the back of some of these buildings, you see there's some like of these little trees that are popping out. So this is, I don't know. It's just something I'm going to quickly drop in there. I don't know if it's going to work. I really have no idea if this is going to work, but I just want to try it. Okay, and it's making that one look a little bit more, as you can see here, that building look a bit more sharp and have light on it. I can just do it in some other areas like here as well. It creates a bit of contrast. Where else can we do it? Here, perhaps. Here, just put in a little bit of that green. Yep, that's all you need to do. Maybe, I don't know, maybe here behind this one. It's not, there's nothing there though, but I'm just going to put one in anyway. Like that. And notice how it sort of makes the buildings lighter in a way. Good. Yeah, darken this a bit like that. Good. So back to the gouache. Back to that gouache. I want to put in some umbrellas and stuff. I've lost all those umbrellas, but before I do that, I want to actually get in some masts for these boats. Maybe like a couple of them. I'll try this one first. Like that. Oh, that's too sharp. Doesn't matter. I'll just I'll have to just deal with that. But okay, on the top of this one, maybe like a light there. Like that. And then, you know, like that. Okay, I might have stuffed it, but I just wanted to try that out. Another one here, maybe, like this. It's difficult to get a really nice, clean gouache as well because I'm using a brush that's got paint in it. Let's see if I got another one. Yeah, I've got another one here that doesn't have any paint in it. More fresh gouache and a bit of water to activate that gouache. Let me just try this once more. Yeah, I'm not so happy with that mask. That one's better, but this one's just not the best. Not a big deal though. What else do we have in here? You know, we can pick out, and again, these umbrellas and bits and pieces in the background. Put another mask or something there. Bit of color. That, yeah, this gouache is kind of turned a bit bluish gray in a way. Yeah, it's because I've mixed it in accidentally with a few other colors, but you know, you get the. Maybe if I can find another brush that I've not used. I'm absolutely terrible at cleaning my brushes, and this is. I mean, it actually just highlights the fact that even if you just get the values right, you're going to do fine. This is better. This is a nice clean brush. Okay. Might even use a tissue and just get rid of some of this. It's too much. There's way too much going on in there. It's just. That's better. I'll redo that in a moment when it dries off. Yeah, so this is more kind of like a white gouache color. And we can go in there and we can think, well, we've got like buildings, but these umbrellas. And I can actually swap to another brush as well between two brushes. So I'm going to mix up on one side some kind of warmer gouache, a bit of like a yellowy white gouache, because I think I'm going to need this for some of these umbrellas, like here. There's one. Here's another one, maybe here. Another one like here, maybe. And we're just, again, just little indications. It's not, I'm not trying to get in huge amounts of detail, just like triangular like shapes here in the background. You know, there's also points where you might think, I wish I'd left in a bit of light on that building. Look, you can bring it back. I can bring back that light in the building just by putting a touch of gouache in there. Okay, like that. Kind of gotta be careful not to overdo it though. Okay. That's better. Much better for that boat. Just trying to preserve this really light white sort of gouache. And here's a little trick as well. I can sort of put in a bit of sparkle in the water. But before I do this, one thing I've forgotten to do is you do get some incidental ripples and things like that on the water from other, you know, whatchamacallit, waves and things like that. And so I want to just make it more consistent and get in a few kind of bits that join up, maybe waves in the middle and stuff like that. Not too many, just a few little bits and pieces. Okay. Yes, that's better. Now it looks more, now it makes sense a bit more. There's obviously, there's going to be ripples on the water from other stuff as well. No, not to overdo it as well. That's good. Oops. Mess. Bloody mess. Okay, so a bit of white gouache, and if you just touch onto the paper like this, you can kind of imply that there's, you know, a bit of sunlight hitting the water, okay, in areas. Here, it's easy to overdo this as well, so you have to be careful. But even within these dark spots in the water as well, it's good. And not only that, you see there's like a potential reflection of the mast like that in the water. Those ones won't really have much of a reflection. That's fine. But see, that's got a reflection. You might get a reflection of parts of the boat like that. See, like the white sections of the boat as well have like a little reflection coming through the water. So you can just imply some of this stuff, you know, it's like a rope or something here that's like leading into the water, isn't it? Like there, don't know, just guess. Another something here leading into the water, you know. What's great about this gouache, you can just really bring back some finishing touches, some little details, touches of little magical sparkles, I guess. There, you know, look on the roof of these towers and things as well. Yeah, I can bring back a bit of light underneath as well if I feel like it's just taken that all those trees have taken up too much real estate. Bit of light below like that. There. You can even just put in a bit of water with the gouache and mix it around a touch, and you get this sort of smoky-like look. As you can see, this sort of misty kind of look, which makes things look more interesting in spots, I suppose. More yellow, but you want to blend it. You want to make sure you've got some, yeah, some kind of like lighter bits, some darker bits, some blurry bits, some not so blurry bits. Yep. Good. Alrighty, so I think we're almost done. Yeah, and it's not bad. Little sketch. Not bad. I think I'll probably refine it a bit more later on. But let's take off the paper and see how it looks. If you have any final questions, everyone, leave that down in the chats, because I'm going to end the stream in just a moment. Also, check the video description for this weekend. I am running a special on my 70-course Watercolor Essentials program. So if you go in there, check the link in the description. You can purchase it for a discounted price, $297. You can also sign up for my Patreon if you want to see more detailed courses, classes as well. Some of them are part of that Watercolor Essentials program, but there's actually a lot more in there. There's about 84 different courses that you can sign up to. And yeah, you can sign up for like a smaller package in the beginning anyway if you want to check it out. Just try it out for a month. Okay, but today I think it's been pretty productive this morning. You know, we've ended up with a couple of paintings, and I'm quite happy with both of them. You know, considering they took about 2 hours to do, well, less than 2 hours really. I've been talking for most of that time, but yeah, generally speaking, you'd be able to paint these in half an hour. Let me just see if I can remove that reference photo. So I've got both of them up. Here we go. I've got both of them up so you can see them today. How did you find the workshop today? These sketching workshops that I've been running, I've been enjoying them a lot because they have been taking a lot of pressure off. At the same time, I've been able to just practice a bunch of scenes that I don't normally do and just change things around a bit as well, experiment and not have to worry too much about the end result. So I think that's it. Tanya says, use my old crappy brushes for gouache because I find it never leaves the bristles. Yeah, it does. It's very difficult. You're kind of cleaning off that gouache for ages afterwards. How did you find today's session? Are you enjoying these sketching workshops that I'm running? And if you are as well, do me a real big favor and like the video. Click the like button on the video and share it with a friend. Yeah, it does me a really big favor so that I can get my videos out to more people. Evelyn says, enjoyed this. And Simone says, gosh, what you can do in 2 hours. This was a fantastic workshop. First time I've jumped onto a live one. Got so much out of it. That's awesome, Simone. I'm so happy that you guys are enjoying these. I'm really putting in a lot more effort to run more of these live workshops. I've not been doing too many of them. I think I've been going through a bit of a rut in terms of like finding consistency in my painting and just, you know, reminding myself again that just need to get that brush onto the paper and try different things as well. You know, and just get the ball rolling, and halfway through the painting you actually start enjoying it. So let's have a look. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so thanks, Simone. Durenda says they look great. Love the sketching workshops. Thanks for doing these for us. Thank you, Durenda, for coming along. Yeah, I'm just happy that it's been worthwhile and helpful for you. The first one especially, I think that one turned out pretty nice. I like the buildings in the background for this one. The boat's not so much, but this one here, the first one, was quite like this one actually. So yeah, it's not bad for 1.5 hours or so. And Ramona says they've been amazing. So the Essentials is a subset of the Patreon. So the Watercolor Essentials is basically the top 70 courses that I have on Patreon. And on Patreon, if you sign up, if you want to get access to the 84 courses on there, it's like a monthly fee, basically $30, and it just continues on. Whereas if you purchase the Essentials program, you get access to the unlimited access to that, ongoing unlimited access to 70 courses. Okay, it's just that it got to too much. I had 70 in there. It was just becoming too much, so I've kind of capped it on there. And the other 15 or so courses I've turned into separate programs. Okay, but I'd say that's probably the best value one because you get 70 in there. There's so many different subjects that I cover. I think there's close to 1,000 videos. It will really keep you busy. Good to see you again here, Aaron. It's a couple days in a row. And the guys, I think that's about it. Does anyone have any other questions? If not, I reckon I'm going to go make myself some lunch. Go find something to eat today. And thank you, Ramona. And I'll probably see if I can maybe run one next week. We'll see how we go. I do want to run another one, maybe just more sketches and something different as well. I think these ones are a bit too close to home in terms of what I usually paint. So I'm really gonna try next time to paint something that's a bit different, or like a close up of something, maybe more detailed, one building or something like that, or maybe some animals. We can do some sketching of animals. So thanks for coming along today, and I will see you all next time.